Hey everybody, what's going on? Good morning. Happy Saturday morning to you. If you're catching this live in Eastern Standard Time, if you're somewhere else in the world, happy whatever day it is or time it is. Anyway, going to be doing another video on Darth Dawkins, of course, because Jefferson Spatchcock is a one-trick pony with a sick obsession for Darth Dawkins shenanigans. This is a brand new video that Tom Rabbittt dropped. A quick exchange between him and some Christians on Clubhouse. And just kind of the saga continues. He hits a lot of repeat notes here. None of this for anybody that's followed Tom Rabbitt's channel or followed me even a little bit. Has any familiarity with Darth Dawkins in the past has probably heard every single point that he makes in this particular video, and almost all of them are bad. So I wanted to get into them because I did a little bit of a fact check on one of them, and it's pretty good. Noticed a big flaw in him. Also, I want to warn people. I don't know how I'm coming through this morning. I'm test driving a new headset, new mic. So if the sound is weird, things need to be adjusted. Just let me know. I don't know how this compares to the other ones, and I probably won't know until I watch this later. I probably should have done a little bit more field testing with it, but I figured it would work. Anyway, I am going to get this video started. just sounds fine, more or less. I'm thinking if you wrote more or less, it's more on the less side than the more side. Maybe. Anyway, let's see here. All right, I'm going to test these levels. I'm going to get this one started. So, what does LC stand for? Dissenter 6. Sorry, I don't catch the abbreviation. Do I need to increase the mic gain? Actually, I'm not sure if this thing has mic gain. It would have helped if I'd read the instructions too instead of trying to wing it. Anyway, let me know if I need to crank it up. Or maybe LC is loud and clear. Thank you, Josiah. Thanks, Slim. Okay, here we go. We're going to start this. If the video's not coming through okay, let me know. It should be. I'll change the view here. Here we go.
Which part of the ring is which? The inner part is what?
Goodbye.
No,
but goodbye. We're done. Okay, see, there's only so much. You had my Popeye moment. There's only so much of this purposeful, obvious deception and prevarication.
Yep.
Now, lest my critics have another hemorrhoidal attack, one cannot say that I did not bend over backwards being patient with that deceiver.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, dubious. Why don't you tell
dubious. So I'm going to get into that in a bit. Yes, no one could accuse Darth of being anything other than perfectly calm, collected, and patient when dealing with any interlocutor. Yeesh. This, just to give everybody a heads up, Enlighten there in the upper left corner. I don't know who he is. The more I hear from him, the less I like him. He believes that Adeptus in the lower middle there, with like the skeleton avatar or whatever, he's pronouncing Adeptus dubious or a dubious or a duptious or something like I don't know.
what you think of Darth since you came into the room earlier. Darth, this is the guy I was talking about that has a problem with the way you
Who?
a dubious.
Man.
I can't say his name.
Adeptus.
Adeptus.
You can just call me Vulcan if you'd like.
Yeah, go.
Adeptosaurus, Adaptothosaurus. I was wondering how many different variations he was going to go through, but without just reading it through. Adeptus. I mean, it's not like it's not ancient Greek or even modern Greek, and it's not like an Irish first name, so even an Irish last name.
Go ahead.
It's not really more of an issue with you. It's just like, why are you so rude to people?
The same reason why the Old Testament prophets, Jesus, and the apostles were rude to people.
Uh-oh, here we go.
And how is that?
To get a point to expose their misbehavior.
Okay. So you think telling people, are you drunk? You think that's the same as what Jesus was doing?
Well, yes. Mm-hmm.
I fail to see the connection.
Well, do you realize that I've been on here for about 10 years, And do you
Yep.
know that? And I've been spending the last couple of years a lot of time on Discord. And do you know that there's been many times when I've said to somebody, "Have you been drinking?" And they will say yes.
Yeah, and
So I want to find.
So this is the reason why I titled this. So Darth always hits the fake, phony, fraud thing, but those are just kind of the same words for the same kind of thing. But what he really ends up doing with any of his questions is there's only 3 categories of people that he ever talks to. Well, there's 4. There's deceivers, drunks, and dunces, and then there's actual Christians. That's it. Right, because anybody that doesn't live up to his standards as a Christian is going to hit one of those other 3 categories. They're either going to be deceptive, they're going to be impaired in some way because of a substance, or they're just too stupid to live. That's sort of how his brain works, and that's all the space that he has for, I think, all of humanity. And so Adeptus seems to be calling it, so you just accusing people of being drunk, that's a cool thing to do. And now it's like, well, you know how many times I've talked to somebody and they have had a little something to drink? Yeah, but and this is something I harped on in my last video. Yeah, he'll ask somebody, hey, have you been drinking? They're like, no, I don't drink. Oh, then you're just stupid then. Or you have the mind of a child, right? Like it's something like that.
Find out if is this person intoxicated, or are they purposely trying to deceive me?
so you don't think that's rude at all?
Well, when they give me the most fundamentally stupid responses that bear no resemblance to the question that I asked, I can only conclude that they're either intoxicated or they're purposely trying to be deceptive. Now, if you think that that's rude, then so what? Jesus referred to the Pharisees who claimed to be in pursuit of truth and reason. He referred to them as snakes. He referred to them as wolves. And by the way, snakes are seen as wonderful creatures for scientific explanation, and wolves.
So how does someone being drunk speak to whether or not their argument is sound and or valid? A good question, Carlton. It doesn't, but Darth doesn't take that into account when he's trying to do a hasty generalization or poison the well or engage in genetic fallacies. It's usually one of the 3. Also, very quickly, hello to Mr. Lumpkin, John May, Groove Q, James Henry, Randolph Richardson, as always. Nice to see you here. Thank you very much for showing up. Blackest Jake. Crafty Kayla, also, thank you for showing up. Caught some of your video. Thank you for having me on yesterday, and caught the video that you did with Truth Wanted. That seems like a pretty cool channel. Got about half of that done before it was time for me to go to bed, and I didn't speed through it, so I got to watch the rest of that today. All right, let me speed this back up, and here we go. So just to reiterate here what he's doing. So now he's pointing out that, oh, well, you know what? You know who also was assertive? Manly men, prophets, Jesus, and the apostles. Jesus called these people vipers. Jesus didn't call all people vipers. He called the Pharisees vipers, who were a small subsect of believers in that area, right? Now, they were the biggest of the 3 groups, the Pharisees, the Essenes, and the Sadducees, but they're still a small group. And they probably didn't represent a mainstream view of, well, probably a lot of mainstream Jews were kind of more or less Hellenized. And a lot of them were uneducated. The Pharisees were a little bit more legalistic. The Essenes were kind of the crazy mystics, or at least that's kind of what they were, the doomsday apocalyptic mystics that lived out in a hole and, in the desert somewhere. And then the Sadducees were usually like the smallest group, but they were the elite. And they were the ones that were the Sanhedrin, the sort of the Supreme Court, as it's been called, of Israel, consisted mostly of members of the Sadducees, and they were kind of the most educated, the wealthiest, and the most connected to Rome. So one of the things that's interesting here is that while Jesus is in this situation, right, he's depending on the gospel that you read, there's situations where he is really ticking off the Pharisees, like he's really provoking them, but the Pharisees can't kill him for that, right? They can't just go and kill him, right? But they can complain a lot. And that's something to hang on to for his next justification.
Are seen as majestic hunters in the national forest. But in those days, these were things that were very dangerous. And to call people wolves in sheep's clothing, rotten men's bones in whitewashed tombs, was the height of rudeness and offensiveness. So, for example, in the book of Acts, it says that Stephen, while speaking to the Jewish Supreme Court and preaching the gospel to them, and giving him the identity claims of Jesus Christ. He said, and it said he was filled with the Holy Spirit. And then it said, he told them that they were stiff-necked, always resisting the Holy Spirit. And then he dropped this bomb on them. He says, you are uncircumcised in your hearts. Now, given that you're not from that culture, and nor am I, do you have any idea how offensive that was?
No, I fully can appreciate the.
And do you know what happened next?
Go on.
Do you know?
No, I haven't read the entirety of the Bible.
They picked up because they're outside.
Mm-hmm.
They picked up rocks and they killed him on the spot. Okay. Now, he told them that they were uncircumcised in their hearts. Now, these are religious leaders who prided themselves of living an absolute life of devotion and in service to God. They weren't just religious leaders, Pharisees or Sadducees. They were members of the Jewish Supreme Court, the Sanhedrin. Okay?
Right.
Now, imagine I were to meet the Pope if he was visiting.
Okay, before I get into this, because Darth's going to give us an analogy, and the general rule for Darth is that if he gives an analogy, he's almost automatically wrong. I don't think I'm being uncharitable there. His analogy game is terrible. But let's review what happened there. So his final justification for his behavior is Stephen's testimony before the Sanhedrin that eventually gets him stoned to death. Darth gets a bunch of this wrong. Well, not a bunch of it, but because if you had to get a bunch of it wrong, you'd have to go through what Stephen said. It's generally true that when Stephen was out, that Stephen happens early on in the book of Acts, and this is from the chapter 6 and chapter 7. Stephen was kind of the first major player as an apostle outside the original 12, and he preceded Paul, because at this time Paul's still going by the name Saul. Saul is still a Pharisee. He's still actively persecuting the Christians in the early church. In fact, he actually shows up at the end of this chapter, the beginning of chapter 8. So Stephen is ticking people off with his preaching of Jesus, right? So some of these Pharisees and Sadducees and Jewish leaders and other people that don't like this start getting men to instigate things. They start talking about how he's blaspheming this and preaching false prophecy here and there, whatever. So finally they grab Stephen one day and they drag him before the Sanhedrin, right? So they're in the Sanhedrin and they basically tell him that he has to defend himself, which is a fantasy, I think, that Enlighten and Redefine Living, who's in the middle there, that man hanging out of the dinosaur photo, that's Redefine Living. And then Darth, I think they fantasize about this because this is how they treat Christians, right? They're the Sanhedrin in their own minds, and they will drag skeptics before them. Explain yourself to me. And then when they've heard enough, I cast you out. Anyway, sorry. And so getting back to the story, they drag Stephen in there. They're like, all right, explain yourself, bro. He launches into a very long testimony. And his testimony is essentially a summary of the biblical history of the Israelite people, right? Goes through, kind of hits the main points. It's interesting because he gets at least one of those points wrong. The one about the, I don't want to get into it because it's kind of a tangent, but there's a justification for God and people worshiping the golden calf. It's something that scholars have picked up on. Like, that's not exactly right because that's not what the Old Testament says. So Stephen kind of gets that a little fucked up, but it's not important. He lays out this big long claim and then he ends it with, and Darth's right about this, he ends it, you're stiff-necked people, you constantly refuse to acknowledge the work of the Holy Spirit, blah, 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 right? The interesting thing about that part is that Darth is leaving out what happens next. He says, Stephen says this, they kill him because he was so insulting. He was so assertive. So let's go to the source and find out what happens. So if you go to Acts chapter 7, verse 51, he says, you stiff-necked people, uncircumcised in heart and ears, you always resist the Holy Spirit. As your fathers did, so do you. Which of the prophets did not your fathers persecute? And they killed those who announced before him the coming of the righteous one, whom you have now betrayed and murdered. You who received the law and delivered by angels and did not keep it. All right? Here's where it gets, this is the sexy part. Now, when they heard these things, they were enraged and they ground their teeth against him. But he, Stephen, full of the Holy Spirit, gazed into heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God, and said, Behold, I see the heavens opened and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. They cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and rushed together upon him. Then they cast him out of the city and stoned him. So quibbling a little bit, Darth is like, well, they killed him on the spot. No, they did not. He was in the Sanhedrin. They dragged him out of the Sanhedrin and out of the city and killed him there. They stoned him there. So he's not right there. And they didn't stone him because he made them mad, because he was assertive and insulting them. The final straw was when he said that, Behold, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. How do we know that's the final straw? Because the next verse says, But they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and rushed together upon him. That's what set them off. Not the part where he said they were stiff-necked. When he said they were stiff-necked, he's quoting Old Testament scripture. That's something that God and prophets had said to. That's part of it. But when he does change the emphasis. He's talking about our people through his entire summary, then switches it that final last bit to you people deny God and you don't understand the Holy Spirit and you're fuck-ups and you're not real and all this other kind of stuff. The good stuff, right? Darth is messing this up. His justification is wrong. I don't know why. Like, if you're going to use the behavior and the acts of Stephen to justify your own actions, you might want to actually reread the chapters to make sure that you're getting it right. Because he's like, oh, they were just killed on the spot. And he even tells like, well, they're outside, right? Well, the Sanhedrin, I don't think the Sanhedrin's outside. And even if it is an outside, kind of agora kind of thing, I'm pretty sure the Sanhedrin was a covered building, but it doesn't matter. It says they dragged him outside the city where they started to stone him. So
in the United States, and before the public cameras, I pointed to the Pope and I said to him, you, sir, are a false teacher. And when you die, you're going to be eternally punished for promoting a false gospel. And you are an unbeliever and in a rebellion to God. Now, would people be shocked at that if I did that publicly before the cameras?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what Stephen did was even far worse.
Yeah, but he was an apostle of God, was he not?
That's right. That's right.
Are you?
Am I an apostle?
Stephen didn't behave worse than Darth. This is the thing, and Alex is right. Like, this is the fallacy of relative privation. It's kind of the not as bad thing. Well, if you think that I'm in your face, you should have gotten a load of Stephen. But what set the final straw for the Sanhedrin wasn't the fact that he was telling them, "Hey, you're stiff-necked and a bunch of losers." It was the part where he looks up into the heavens and sees God and the Son of Man standing at his right hand side, and they're like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And the way that this is supposed to be done, the author Luke is the Sanhedrin is just like, they can't tolerate this kind of thing, or they're overwhelmed by the Holy Spirit moving through this guy, or however you want to try to like run an apology on this. If you look, I tried looking up some evangelical sources, explanations for that particular portion of it, and it's filled with nonsense. It's the kind of thing that would lead someone like Darth to believe what he believes. It's like he was so awesome and he was so full of God and he was just so cool that they couldn't take it. They couldn't even. And then when they couldn't, they killed him. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. It just lands on its face. I kind of wonder what the Catholic tradition is for this, because usually, like, if I'm going to go through any kind of try to look for like a Christian discipline explanation of this, I'm going to look to a discipline source. It's not going to be a Protestant one normally, unless they're Anglican. But as far as a lot of Protestants in America are concerned, Anglicans are just diet Catholics. So, but yeah, usually I'll look for Anglicans and Catholics on this kind of thing. And surprisingly, a lot of them aren't really all that convinced with it, because a lot of modern Bible scholars don't treat Acts as a historical document, and rightfully so, because it even contradicts Paul's writings. And if you want to know that, compare the author of Acts' description of Paul's journeys with Paul's own description of his journeys in his letter to the Galatians, if you're a nerd.
Apostle? No, I'm not an apostle. Because
So
in order to
why
be
can you
apostle,
even
in order
compare
to be
what
an
you do to the
apostle,
apostles
in order
of
to be,
God?
why are you being rude right now?
That's actually not a bad question, and Darth, of course, is going to accuse him of being rude. But he's like, okay, you're not an apostle, but you're comparing your behavior to the apostles. I guess Darth would probably lean into the relative privation fallacy and be like, well, no, but that's the whole point. Like the apostles, if you were dealing with an apostle, you'd be dealing with a prophet, Jesus, his apostles, or Stephen. And it'd be so much worse than what I am. That's how good a Christian Darth is. Like we're getting a glimpse of what real Christianity is. Like this is kind of fucked up. Like he's like, I'm nothing compared to these guys, but I'm the realest you're ever going to get. Good work, Darth.
He's a false Christian.
Since you're so concerned about rudeness, why are you being rude?
I
Now,
apologize.
to be an
He wasn't being rude. Like every time somebody kind of steps on the end of one of Darth's sentences, Darth acts like they've just pissed in his Wheaties. But Darth will cut off people left and right, and then demands that they demands that they accept that because that's just the price you pay to talk to this dickhead.
apostle means that you have to have been selected by God himself, okay, and have witnessed the resurrection. So since I'm not selected by God to be an apostle, but you see, rebuking people for their outright falsehood and bad conduct is not something that's the exclusive domain of apostles. And by the way, why do you?
Okay, so it's not the exclusive domain of the apostles, but you're justifying your behavior by comparing your behavior with what you think how the apostles behaved. Why are you drawing the equivalency if you're not in that category?
Even care that I'm quote rude?
I just don't find it proper.
So
That's
what?
just the way that I think.
Well, good. So you don't like it. So what? I don't like peas.
I just don't understand why.
So if a Christian goes to him and says, I don't think that you're behaving well, Darth excuses this as simply being subjective preference. So Adeptus couldn't possibly have a point here. This is an interesting take on that because Darth compares this to, oh, you think that I'm assertive, you think that I'm rude to people, you don't think that it's proper. Well, I don't like peas. It's the same thing, same deal. I hate chocolate ice cream. You don't like the way I talk. You don't like the way I treat people. Same thing. Not for a Christian, it's not. And Darth fucking knows better. But he's going to tell this guy that somehow this is equivalent. What's interesting here is he gets into abusive daddy mode real quick.
Why would you like to be like that to people?
I don't like peas. I like broccoli.
I never
I like
said.
broccoli. I like spinach, but I do not like peas.
I never said I would.
Do you care if I eat peas?
You're confusing.
Do you
what I'm
care
saying.
that I
No.
don't like peas?
It's an irrelevant question, and it's a stupid comparison, and it's a microaggression, just as Dan puts here. It's his verbal microaggressions that irritate me, all his okays and do you understands. Yeah, and bullshit questions. And when he asks these questions that don't really need an answer and then insists somebody respond with a yes or no, right? That's abusive. If you do that to a kid, you would be accused of emotional abuse because you're fucking nuts. Right? All you're doing is just raging out on a kid in a super passive aggressive way because you have the emotional maturity of a feral barnyard cat.
No.
I don't care that you think I'm being rude.
Fine.
And that's an important thing. He doesn't care that he's being rude, and I think Adeptus makes kind of a classic mistake here. Not a judgment on his behalf. I think he's talked to him before, but a lot of people have attempted to do this, whether they're atheists or skeptics, have attempted to appeal to or criticize him on the basis of a sense of decency. He doesn't have one, so don't bother with it. There's no point in attempting to appeal to what Darth thinks is a sense of decency. He believes in the categories that I've put in my title: Deceivers, drunks, dunces, right? And then real Christians. Real Christians deserve his respect. Everyone else can eat his dick. That's how he acts, right? And if he wants to contest that, he could try to prove that by actually being charitable to people that he could check himself. He could get into a conversation with somebody and he automatically gets enraged and wants to categorize them as being a liar, a lunatic, or lit, right? To alliterate even more, right? But if he checked that and was like, wait, let me give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they've got a different experience here. Maybe their theology is somewhat correct, but maybe they're kind of in a different category. Maybe they're combining a little Christianity with some Jainism or some Buddhism, whatever. Does he do that? Absolutely not. He doesn't do that. He finds a way to get them categorized as quickly as possible. And when you hear him talk to Christians, even as they start to answer his questions right, like what's the fifth book of the New Testament or something like that, they start getting those questions right. Even then, you can hear the side eye implied in the tone of his voice for minutes after asking somebody these questions. Even if they pass all the, they jump through all the hoops, get all the questions right, he still doesn't think so, because if they have a point of contention with Captain Poopy Pants here, that master of the full diaper, he will categorize them as being fake Christians. You can't be a free Christian and disagree with Darth. It's just you just can't. That's not how Scripture works, right?
Do what you like. I'm asking why.
Okay, why? Because I'm speaking the truth. It's called tough love. I'm calling out these.
That's not tough love. You're just a dick. Like you are rushing to these hasty generalizations to categorize people so that you can dismiss their opinion and dismiss what they have to say, rather than dealing with the arguments. I mean, the last video that I did, it's an older video, I think from 8-9 months ago, where he's talking with Soldier of Science. He's so dismissive of Soldier of Science's perspective and answers that he misses. He keeps accusing him of not answering his question, even after Soldier of Science answered his questions several times. And the one explanation that Darth really needed, Soldier of Science gave to him, laid it out for him. It was one of the rare moments where Darth kind of let him speak completely and lay out like a complete idea. He didn't pay attention to it, didn't acknowledge that it happened. I mean, if he did hear it, he didn't comprehend it. If he comprehended it, then he's lying and saying that he didn't get the answer. He didn't get an answer to his question. He did. So maybe he's the one that's either drunk, lying, or dim.
Fakes, phonies, and frauds for what they are. Now, you want to think it's rude. It's not. It's not rude. They're getting reprimanded for their purposeful deception and prevarication. I am dealing with a whole cadre of people that are purposely deceitful.
Okay.
Like if I tell somebody, what about them? Christians can't be deceitful at times.
So-called tough love.
They can't be deceitful at times.
And
yeah, would you like to talk about a specific?
That's what
if I tell somebody, what about them? Christians can't be deceitful at times.
Well, if Christians are supposed to be behaving, if they're supposed to be reflecting the nature of God in thoughts and action, should they be deceiving? Because that's not part of God's nature. I don't know if he's done this, but Darth will blow up on Muslim apologists if he ever runs across them, and I think he's gone off on taqiyya. Right? He thinks taqiyya is basically like it's a blank check given to Muslims to lie about their faith, about their status within that faith, about what they can and can't do, all to own non-believers, to either escape persecution or sneak in and deceive somebody and win an objective somehow. I'm fairly certain he has, right? And that's a big difference between Muslims and Christians. Christians aren't allowed to do that. But now here he is asking Adeptus, well, what's wrong with that? What about Christians being a little deceitful? I can't even believe he's entertaining this as like, let's say he doesn't believe that. I know I've heard him say that that's not possible. Christians should not be deceitful. But now he's offering this as he's entertaining this as a hypothetical with Adeptus. Entertaining the hypothetical when you've already told other people that that can't be the case, and you believe that the God that created all, it's not in his nature to deceive, because if he deceived, if God lied even once, nothing is intelligible. Well, how does it follow, Darth? Should Christians be deceiving? I don't know. You've put a lot of pressure on the whole need for brutal honesty.
Called tough love to them. And
yeah, would you like to talk about a specific instance?
There's plenty. I can pull from many.
Oh, okay, good. Give me one.
Nephilim.
This is always bad. If at this point I would appeal, and this would just be me, like I want a specific example, I would give him this example. You have stated that you have been on social media for over a decade, that you're over 60 years old. You weren't born yesterday. It has been documented by many people that have grievances with you, that you have lied, and that you have prevaricated, and that you've equivocated, and that you've deceived people. I don't need to go into specifics. You have a long record of this. Do you deny that? Of course he will. And you're like, okay. Do you mind if I make the conclusion that you're delusional? And then insist on that. Well, no, you've just admitted, and just don't. You've admitted to me that you're already delusional. You can acknowledge your history on social media for 10 years. You can acknowledge your age and maturity. You believe that you have something over the majority of the people that you talk to, and yet you're incapable of understanding moments when people have rightly, right? There's plenty of people that have accused him of things that he probably didn't do, but there are a lot of times when he's been called out and corrected on points that he refused to acknowledge. And if he denies that, he's delusional. So he ends up getting into his fake, phony, fraud category, and he's canceled himself out.
Let's see, Connie.
Okay, what about
any
what about What
Ooh,
about
Connie. Connie's too fresh.
Well,
What about
seeing as how you wouldn't even let him talk at all.
That's false. Stop lying.
Okay.
Okay, now you're lying because
Okay, I'll concede the Nephilim.
Adeptus there was talking about Nephilim. I think he's probably talking about the video between Darth and Nephilim when they had a debate on soul sleep, because it's something that I think Nephilim believes in. I don't know if Nephilim is a Seventh-day Adventist, but it's a kind of a thing that Seventh-day Adventists are into. It's kind of consistent a little bit with some of Pauline theology. But anyway, that's a rabbit hole. But Darth was jumping all over him. Darth was constantly over talking him, interrupting him. It was a dumpster fire. And Nephilim ain't that swift. And Nephilim is a little bit, he's kind of a bloviator like Darth. He won't stop talking. So it was chaos. But I don't think that's an unfair accusation. Darth was trying to overtalk him. Darth was trying to silence him because he was basically saying soul sleep is it's not biblical, it's heretical, whatever. You should shut up. That was all this. That was it. Definitionally, soul sleep is bad. You should feel bad. Go away.
Back and I listened to the interaction. I was letting him talk, but he was being rude and obnoxious. Did I not warn him several times to stop the over talking?
You did.
Yeah. Did he stop?
I said I concede that one.
Darth's warnings to stop over talking him are his way of over talking people. And then he'll appeal to it. Did I not warn them? Warn them. If I have a conversation with somebody and I ask them a question and that person starts to answer me and I start screaming repeatedly, don't interrupt me, don't interrupt me, don't interrupt me. I'm using don't interrupt me as a way to gaslight them. I'm interrupting them with that claim. Darth's probably gotten this from those. If it's true, like what Tom says, he's admitted this in some of his videos that he watches, like he likes cop videos and stuff because he can't wait to see somebody get tasered. But saying something like that is sort of the equivalent of a dirty cop yelling, stop resisting as they're punching someone in the back of the head while they're already on the ground and handcuffed.
So
okay, now you mentioned Connie. What would you like to say about Connie?
I don't know. You just didn't let her speak either.
That's not true because I wasn't a moderator. I couldn't shut off her microphone. So how do you accuse me of not letting her speak? And in fact, she was the one.
Is that the only way you can prevent somebody from speaking in these channels on these kinds of platforms? You have to be a mod and you have to mute them? Like, this is delusional behavior. Like, Darth is gaslighting Adeptus here. He knows damn well that he can overtalk people. He overtalked Connie. She would start to get into an explanation and he would interrupt with, I want to know what I'm being accused of. And then when she said she wasn't going to talk about that or she wasn't talking about him, he would follow up with that same question again, maybe worded a different way. There's more than one way to prevent somebody from talking. He knows better. And if he doesn't, he's an idiot. Sorry. You're a fake, phony, and a fraud, Darth. Phony, flag-waving Christian.
One who refused to back up her accusations.
She couldn't because you kept over talking.
Wait a minute. I stopped her from talking.
You overtalk.
If you overtalk somebody, yeah, you're preventing them from getting their point across.
Sure.
Okay, both of us had cross talking. Now, were there not multiple times on the...
Oh, so because there was some crosstalk, it's Connie's fault? Are they both? So this is interesting. Like, okay, so you're admitting now, Darth, that you did prevent her from talking because you were over-talking her. So maybe just concede that you over-talked her? But no, he immediately switches it. No, well, Connie was over-talking me too. Classic narcissism.
the recording where I said, Connie, please defend your accusation, and then I shut up. Do you not
Yeah.
recall that happened multiple times?
Yep.
Then stop lying.
I'll post a video here.
Yeah, stop lying.
Okay, well, when
Yeah, and as she was giving an explanation, but he would ask her that after she said she didn't want to talk about it. He's leaving that part out, just like he left out that part in Acts that's super important to him, about his superhero Stephen.
she went to, you just immediately said you repeated the same thing.
I repeated the same thing because she was not unpacking and explaining her, from my perspective, fake accusation.
After she told you she wouldn't.
Okay.
Okay. Did Connie ever explain how or why in terms of the content that she
No.
claimed I attacked her? Okay, good. So I'm
Because she said she didn't want to get into it, Darth.
vindicated now.
Okay.
So you're 0-2.
Okay.
So we're keeping score now. Why? 0-2 now. Okay. Well, because you're wrong about, there you go. You're wrong about Connie. And I think I've demonstrated that I've lost my mind about that situation. Nephilim, no. I mean, I told him not to overtalk me, so I'm in the right. So 0-2. I've never done anything wrong. Never lost my cool. Never overtalked anybody. Darth is blameless. Always blameless.
So
It's kind of funny that I need to bring up specific cases and all that stuff,
those cases
Whereas
you
you-
brought up,
Well, you'd have to bring up the he wants you to bring up the specific cases because it's easier for you to point that. It's easier for you to it's easier for him to tear that apart because then he can just go through it case by case, right? And that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to waste your time with bullshit, right? It's not this is why this is an endless thing because this is all it gets into. You basically you come at him like you should be ashamed of yourself for your behavior. You're appealing to a sense of decency that he doesn't have. And then it'll be like, what? Where are you getting that from? Oh, well, examples A, B, C, D, E. No. Just give me 3 and then I'll walk you through why you're wrong. Do you know the reason that you're wrong on any of your examples? Whatever happened, it was the other person's fault. That's all Darth has to say. He's not going to say it that bluntly because that would point out that he's a raging narcissist. But that's, the Connie and Nephilim thing, it's their fault. It's always someone else's fault. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, so
always
the
displayed
two
that.
cases that came to mind were a great big goose egg.
So if I come back with a lot more, you
Josiah Johnson, I really want to highlight your last comment, but it's a bit dark. But I appreciate it.
you'd be able to confront that, right?
Listen. If I've acted in an unbecoming way, I'll admit it. There are plenty of times when I've acted that I've been too rough around the edges. But the point of
That's
what I'm
perfect.
concerned about is this all you've got?
I find this interesting. So, Dan, I wish Jesus was actually real and returned to Earth just to punch Darth in the throat. That's not what I would look forward to. It would be Jesus shows up. There is Jesus, right? Darth's right about that. But Jesus shows up, walks up to Darth first thing, gives him a hug, and says, "Sorry." And then Darth goes to hell. And he can't tell me that I'm like trying to threaten him, right? Because he's constantly telling atheists and fake Christians and the heretics that they're going to hell, and that's not a threat. So don't come at me and say that I'm threatening it. But that would be an interesting take. Jesus comes back and was like, yeah, the way you treated not only the sinners, but also my children, your brothers and sisters, your pass is revoked. No kingdom of heaven for you, Bowie.
That you want to complain
If
that
you
don't
want,
like
I will
that.
come back more
Is that
prepared.
women? Is that all you've got? Women? Are you an
If
atheist?
you want, I will come back more
Are you
prepared.
he is an atheist.
No.
He claims he's a Christian, though.
What are you?
No,
What
I
are
am a
you?
Bible-believing Christian. Stop accusing me of
Okay,
being an atheist.
Okay. When did you become a Christian? When did you
Well,
become
actually, do you know Yosef?
when did you become a Christian?
A couple months back.
Oh, a couple months back. Okay. Do you have a Bible?
No.
Oh.
Actually, no, we do. We have a big one in the basement.
Oh, we do. Okay, tell me how.
Everyone has a Bible because they're available on the internet. You can there's biblia.com, Bible Gateway, and there's another one. They're for free, and you can read dozens of different versions of the Bible, including some of the versions in languages that most people don't read. So I don't. When Darth asked me, I'm like, well, do you own a Bible? Who the fuck needs to own one? I have 4 on my Kindle, and I'm an atheist. Stop asking that question, Darth. That's just a boomer thing to do.
How you became a Christian?
Well, you were actually in the room. I bet you'd remember. I was talking to a guy named Yosef, and first I was pretty rough with him, you know, questioning him and all that stuff. But then I became to appreciate him telling me the story of his father, and I just. Okay.
There you have it, folks.
I'm sorry, I fell asleep. Was he answering my question? No, he wasn't. Yeah, you know what?
So if Adeptus is actually a Christian, right? Darth is skeptical of Adeptus's conversion because it's so recent, which is kind of odd because basically what I think every Christian should know is that if you just accepted Jesus into your heart as a born-again evangelical Christian, you can't talk to Darth until that's maybe he puts you in like a year probation or something, and then you better get your ass to seminary just to be on the safe side. If you do go to a seminary and you learn more than him, he's still going to disrespect you. So there's no point in talking to him. However, what I think is interesting is that Adeptus here, I generally have this rule because this gets a little contentious in some of these circles. If somebody tells me that they're a Christian or an atheist, I generally don't doubt them. I have run into Poes in the past that have just tried to pretend to be the other, whatever. But if somebody tells me that, you know, they believe in God and that God specifically is Jesus Christ and all this other kind of stuff, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because it's just their belief statement. It's, you know, it's what they're convinced of. Unless I start seeing things that start to kind of contradict that. And some of that can be behavior, like, you know, Darth's behavior anyway. But he's giving his testimony. He had a conversation with a believer, and that believer was relating a story about his own father. And Darth started doing the snory, can't be bothered to you know, too long didn't read bullshit over a Christian's testimony. I wonder, this is why this guy's not in a church. I don't care what he says. I'm taking a firm stance on this. There's no fucking way this guy's in a congregation with actual carbon-based life forms, let alone just, you know, other people, but anything. He's not even in a congregation with rats. I think they would vote him out because he's obnoxious. This is so ridiculous. Like, this is just kind of basic. If you're going to talk to a Christian, that Christian is going to relate their conversion experience to you, like the moment that they repented and accepted Jesus Christ into their heart. You probably should let them say that. To immediately start insulting that and calling it into question, Enlighten doesn't have a problem just saying this guy's not a Christian. How the fuck do you know that? Are you the Holy Spirit? Are you Jesus Christ? Do you know Adeptus's heart? Like, these guys spend so much time trolling so hard online to make these points and own these skeptics and snowflakes and these fake Christians, that when they're talking to someone who probably is a Christian and a freshly minted one, just a few months into the fold, their behavior right there is probably going to shove Adeptus right back out of Christianity. And they only have themselves to blame, right? Or they can blame the Holy Spirit if they don't mind continuing to blaspheme him, because they certainly don't think he worked in Adeptus's case. If I need to mention it, if Darth or Enlighten or Redefine Living are watching this, that is the unforgivable sin, by the way, blaspheming the Holy Spirit. Denying its power is blaspheming. And Darth basically just made fun of it indirectly. So enjoy hell, losers. Not my accusation. That's per your rules. Read your Bible.
You're another fake, phony, and fraud. Have a nice day, sunshine.
Yeah, okay.
Suck Silverstone's BS.
Yeah. Here we have another phony. Oh yeah, I became a Christian. Yeah, I became a Christian a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
You know what they
Because nobody became a Christian a couple of months ago. What?
don't like is that I shoot from the hip. Do I profess that I'm perfect? No. Can I improve the way I deal with people? Of course I can. But you want to know something? They just don't like the fact that I'm confrontational with all of their terrible behavior. and their misconduct. Okay.
Who, the atheists or the Christians? Because now they've categorized Adeptus as an atheist, so they're like, well, this is just what atheists do. So you took him, you doubted his conversion, dumped him into the atheist category, and now you're just fucking and then talking shit about him behind his back. This guy ostensibly is a fellow brother in Christ, and you're doing him this way. I'm pretty sure the Bible says no, you're not supposed to do that. But what do I know? I'm an atheist. And
I had plenty of conversations with.
Oh boy, here we go. Gonna jerk himself off and justify more bullshit. Let's see here. That's me at the beginning talking about rings, my first Tom Rabbittt experience. Yeah, congratulations, Hayes. Yeah, I couldn't even begin to figure out what the perspective was, the context was on that. But I was almost interested, and then Adeptus came in, or as Enlightenment calls him, dubious, aduptious, whatever, however he said it.
People who completely disagree with me, who are not horses' rear ends. But if you act like a horse's rear end with me, you're going to get a verbal lashing from me. Okay? Because I think it's disgusting.
You think you're. I'm just going to go right out of my way and go ahead and just. I'm gonna drop any sense of charity. You think your fellow Christians are disgusting, Darth? You think Adeptus is disgusting? A new convert, someone who has repented and accepted Jesus into his heart because of the grace of the Holy Spirit, you think that's disgusting? Ooh, you need to. I think maybe you need to repent. Maybe you're the one that's disgusting.
I knew he wasn't a Christian.
I'm not going to be one of these mealy-mouthed Christians who just wants everybody to like me, because I'm warning these people. The wrath.
Oh, this is interesting. It says Hayes says something about rings of meaning, of meeting, or maybe it was very confusing to me as well. Yeah. This is an easy one to answer in the live chat. Was that coming from Darth, or was it coming from one of these other guys? It almost sounds like something that could have been coming from Redefine Living. He likes to engage in really, really off the wall conversations.
The wrath of God is hanging over you right now. The reason why you're not taking it seriously is because you don't want to, and because you love Chuckles Darwin's theory of evolution, and you want to think that the Judgment Day in the Bible is a joke. You are in for one rude awakening.
How much do you want to bet this guy is the guy who probably kisses Silver Star's ass? I know it.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. All those freaking guys are false.
So it's a guilt by association. Oh, there he goes.
Christians, each and every one of them.
Yeah.
All of them are false Christians. Well, thank God Enlighten is here on Christian Clubhouse to let people know, to warn them, like, them's the real ones, them's the fake ones. It's not an all or no true Scotsman fallacy. Not when Darth and Enlighten do it.
Yeah. Well, you'll notice I talk with weak at length, and the guy could not have been more evasive. I mean, if the Boy Scout offered a merit badge for obfuscation and prevention.
That's a very good point. Speaking of kissing people's asses, Enlighten. Yeah, like, oh, this Adeptus guy, he's just, he lives in Silver Stars, right between his butt cheeks. Yeah, it doesn't. You never mind the amount of bootlicking Enlighten has started doing. Like, and he's rapidly catching up on guys like Tone and who's that other guy, Foxy or whatever. I mean, who was the one that was really sycophantic? Parakeet. I haven't heard from that guy in a while. Parakeet's super annoying. I always liked it when he would say something, he would interject, and it was so pointless. It was just they were hilarious.
Fabrication. He'd have both of those badges.
But by the way, Darth, you were going to tell us about Silver Star sent you a message. You didn't finish because I think
it was just a bizarro message.
Now they're engaging in gossip. Here we go.
Message contacting me about some weird debate that he wanted to have, and it's just I think this guy has a grotesquely inflated opinion of himself. People who I personally find to be reprehensible in regards toward me, right? I don't want to dialogue or debate with them. Okay.
That is not at all true. If they've got some clout, he will dialogue with them. I don't understand this at all. If he will dialogue with people that don't like him. Now, it is true that I think he's more likely to dialogue with somebody new because he wants to figure out how quickly. It's like for him, it's like a speed run. Give me this thing. Let me see how quick I can just put this person in the dirt. Rhetorically speaking, in the spirit of Christ. But still, it's prize fighting for losers. Like this is a strange hobby of his, right? Like he's going to win at Christian bickering. So I mean, and it is whatever it is. Silver Star wants to have a debate or discussion with him. Darth is like, well, I just think this is weird that this guy's even asking. Why? Plenty of people have asked you to debate them. People have offered you money, Darth Dawkins, to debate some real power players. Some well-known people within and without this community. People like Matt Dillahunty or Jack Angstreich. I don't know what Dillahunty. I think doesn't care one way or the other. I think you'd have to offer him an enormous amount of money to waste his time with it. But Angstreich, I think there was a going rate. There was a fee of $1,000 to have a discussion with Angstreich. No questions asked. The money was there and it was ready to be put up, ready to be paid to him, and he wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, he wanted
It's that simple.
He said he supposedly claimed in the audience after he cut me out and kicked me and banned me because I didn't see the video. Him and I kind of got into it.
Well, he said that I act in unbecoming ways. Well,
it's a good point. Didn't this whole video start off with how he was like the apostle who spoke out to the people who would then go on to stone them? Yeah, but he can't be bothered talking to people that find him repellent. Yeah, so his comparisons to Stephen the Martyr only go so far. And you know what? I think if people dragged him outside the city limits and started stoning him, he'd just start yelling at them to quit over talking him.
Recently, Matt, who is no sycophant of mine, came to my defense because he felt that, Silver Star was, acting over the line. And then Silver Star said to him, up yours.
Yeah, no, the guy's a man-child. I mean, the way he behaves.
A man-child.
Let me tell you.
I mentioned it just so people know that, as much as he walks around.
It's the sick burns that keep me coming back. Man-child. Degenerate. Sycophant. Those sick burns. It's like, ooh, man, these guys. Keep it real. So incisive. Blunt. They're not afraid at all. Not afraid to keep it real.
Around, strutting himself verbally as a prima donna. There's something strange about him, and when you start sending me these long messages, saying here are the rules, like I have any interest in talking with him further. When he scurrilously defamed me about Connie, and he made a number of false accusations, which there was no.
For somebody he doesn't want to talk to, he certainly wants to talk a lot about them.
Basis to, I knew that I was dealing with an unhinged loose cannon, right? So,
and I realize that that's unfair because I love talking about Darth Dawkins. I'm not really that interested in talking to him. I would talk to him though. I'm not like him. I'm like, well, I know Darth Dawkins has zero respect for me, and he finds me scurrilous and disgusting, a sick, degenerate skeptic destined for hell. I'm practically running there with scissors in my both hands. But I don't know why I said that. Sorry. I don't know what that was for. But I would still have a chat with him if he wanted to. My biggest issue with having any conversations with him is that I don't like him in a position where he's got mod powers because he'll say, okay, we'll have a conversation. You won't. You'll be able to speak for about 45 total seconds, not consecutive, just total. And then he'll spend 10 to 15 to minutes first preaching at you, then asking you loaded questions, then yelling at you before he mutes you and kicks you. So it's almost never worth anybody's time. If it was moderated, I would talk to Darth. Darth wouldn't talk to me if it was moderated, though. And he won't admit that. But he would not talk to me if it was a moderated thing. If it was an equal playing field and somebody could keep us both in check, he's going to check out of that.
It's that simple.
Oh, of course. I mean, let me tell you something, Darth. You are far, far more loving and respectful than Silver Star ever will be. Let me tell you, the way that he was trashing Matt and J. Robin and I, and we were just going in there trying to have a conversation. He was behaving like a child. The way he was talking.
Well,
He's
I
talking about
guess
Silver
he's
Star
been
mostly,
a
Cliff.
teacher of teenagers for so long, and being that he's in the Japanese culture where they have a lot of respect for adults and teachers as authority figures, I guess he expects everyone to be a teenager to him. Come on up, Tudos. Let's hear you show that the title of the room is wrong. Come on up.
Yeah, I like how the room name, I didn't point that out at the beginning. The difficulty in talking with atheists is the dishonesty, right? Now, how would Darth feel? What would be his criticism if somebody flipped that around in a Clubhouse channel? The difficulty in talking with Christians is the delusions. You're like, oh, you're already poisoning the well. He'd probably, I mean, in a way, kind of, they kind of would be, right? I mean, it doesn't sound like they honestly want to have a conversation with any of these people. Like, come on in here, you delusional idiots, and try to prove your case. And I'm gonna slap you every time you try to make a point, right? And I'm not saying that there aren't atheists out there that don't do that. There's plenty of people that try to weaponize philosophy on both sides of these things, and it gets pretty obnoxious either way. But if you want to lower the level of obnoxiousness, don't name rooms like this. But then again, you'd be talking to the wrong person if you were going to Darth and like, hey, would you be interested in less obnoxiousness in social media? And you'd be like, no, that's not my bag. Obnoxiousness is all Darth Dawkins brings to the whole thing. Overbearing, ignorance, and just kind of a blinkered sense of like a delusional sense of self-esteem. I like how even when he says like, there's things that I need to correct. There's things I could be better at. Not good at, better at. I'm already okay at them, right? But every once in a while, maybe I get a little terse, maybe I'm a little assertive. But those are virtues, Jesus did that, prophets did that, apostles did that, Stephen did that. Like, dude, it doesn't sound like you really have to do that much of improving at all. If we listen to you really lay a case out for yourself. All right. I've been on for about an hour. I think I'm going to wrap this one up, unless there was another one that Tom had that I forgot to get into. It was because Dan had mentioned something about completing his Darth bingo card, and it was about his transphobia. And I think it was this one.
Record these. Hey.
Acting out of line. I'm simply commenting to J. Robin because maybe he's not familiar with Steve the Philosophist. Okay. Now, I'll continue where I left off. Are you there, Jay?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay. Now, Steve the Philosophist has a long history on Discord of being an overt atheist troll. Okay. And he gratuitously trolls. He just doesn't troll out of revenge. He just gratuitously trolls.
I think if trolling is defined as just saying things to get a rise out of people, it's by definition gratuitous, right? Like is there a necessary kind of like appropriate trolling? Like, and trolling isn't like getting under some people's skin because you said something that just you told them the truth and it offended them. That's not trolling. Trolling is when you tell somebody something that will offend them, regardless of whether you even believe it or not. You're just saying it to get a rise out of them. That's trolling. And by that definition, there's really no justification for it. Unless you're just fucking with people. It's gratuitous.
When I came over here, I never once interacted or spoke with him. And every time I've been brought up on a stage where he's been present, he has gratuitously trolled. So
I'm gonna ask everybody's forgiveness for this one. If anybody would like me to wrap this up, I will. But this one I'm kind of going into cold. I think I listened to half of this one. But if anybody would like me to continue reviewing this, throw up a 1. If anybody would like me to switch to something else, I can even wrap it up. I don't think you're going to tell me to stop. But yeah, if you're interested, let me know. I'm going to go through this one for a few minutes. If this one doesn't get me interested in if he doesn't have any new points to make and he's just going to kind of gossip within the community, I won't bother with it. But let's see what he does.
So this is the kind of individual that you're dealing with. So the next time you talk to them, you're wasting your time dealing with that individual. And now I'll just say one more thing and I'll shut up. Now we know.
Promise, Darth?
that Haiti is not the honest person that she presents herself to be in her virtue signaling. Okay.
Hades a phony, a fake, and a fraud. Or more accurately, Darth, you need to adopt this: a deceiver, a drunk, or a dunce.
She censored what I had to say, not because I was out of line with any room rules or whatever, and she lied about kicking me off the stage. Okay?
Lied.
Because if she didn't lie, then it was either Matt, John, or Frode. That simple. Okay. So now we know what we're dealing with Haiti. Okay. She puts on a public face one way, but now she's been caught with her hand in the cookie jar.
Not the cookie jar.
Did you block her, Darth? Darth, did you block her from the room?
Okay. Yeah, I do have her blocked. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because of her previous hostile behavior toward me.
Can you please unblock her?
Okay. No.
Okay. Then can you please go out of my room?
She has a.
Then can you please get out of
This
my
is
room?
awesome.
Okay. Is this your room or is it Matt's room?
Yes. No, it's mine.
So Darth is already getting into Discord territory here. Already. He's already starting to behave like he's on Discord. Like, no, I banned her because of her behavior and I'm justified in doing it. Like, is this your room? Oh, no? Then knock that shit right off. These guys are eventually going to learn. Like, if you give him an inch, he will take miles.
Okay.
I'm asking you, can you please go out if you didn't block her? Can't unblock her. I want her in.
No, I'm okay. Well, I'll be glad.
Watch him give excuses. See, that would be the thing. Like, if you're in a room and it's not your room and you don't want to talk to somebody because you think that person is lying, spreading false, is just obnoxious, you just don't want to deal with them. And that happens in a lot of these things. The best thing to do, rather than spoiling it for absolutely everybody, is just to get the hell out of there, right? To say, like, you know what, I'm not interested in talking to this person. You guys enjoy. I'll catch you later, and leave. That'd be the stand-up thing to do. No. He's got a banner. No, if I'm in here, she's not coming in here. And if don't you all want me to stay? Well, he starts touching his nipples, I'm assuming. I don't know why I keep coming up with imagery like that. Stuff like that makes me glad he's not on camera, because he might be doing that.
To leave, but I'm not going to unblock her because now do you understand?
Okay. Then you have to leave. Then you have to leave. Then you have to leave. Then you have to leave.
Don't be rude to me.
No, I said
wait,
leave.
excuse me. Did you tell me you
I
just became
said
Christian?
leave.
I
said you have to leave.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm going to move you down to the audience. Okay? You're going to be an obnoxious jerk. You're going to be an obnoxious jerk. I'm going to give you a little taste of your own.
And Darth gets kicked.
This time
That was amazing. That was the best. Thank you guys. I needed.
I did that only because this is Frode's room and he gave you mod chip. I'm assuming someone gave you mod chip.
Amazing, right?
Um,
Amazing.
Wow. Can you make me mod again?
So
Fucking hell.
So I'm just
What the
restoring
mess
the
up.
order of what it should be, Frode.
Jesus Christ.
You mod him. That's the problem.
He's
You mod
obviously
him.
upset with me, but I thought this was the right thing to do.
Now, again, like I said, we were talking about this. You modded him. Everybody wants to talk about how everybody here was nice to Darth.
I asked him very nicely to go away from my room, and he didn't want to go.
And this is the kind of person Dawkins is. You mod him, he comes into your stage, and he kicks out the person who created the room. That's incredible.
Well, I'll tell you what, Frode. I didn't think that you would have anything worthy to be on the internet. And
oh, that was fun.
It's not fun. See, right now I'm getting a lot of back channel, but
Why?
Let's see.
He says he's starting to get a lot of back channel. Like, people are like, finally, that's the right thing to do, because Darth's not going to leave a room because he's banned somebody, and the person who opened the room was like, no, she can come in here. Don't be blocking her. You can leave, and Darth kicks that person for that. Like, okay, the only back channel comments that John should be getting are, way to go, you did the right thing. Like, he can if he doesn't want to talk to somebody in that group, he can take a hike and come back later, or start his own room. He's good at that. I think that's why he's on Clubhouse, because it's a kinder, gentler form of Discord.
Heidi can't get in.
But I can only do it. I can only say this, Frode. I try to stay out of it because it was between you and Darth. But you demanded that he unblock Haiti, or else that I don't know if you know the features of how to even mod. But here's the last straw. When he sent you down, you're the creator of this group, right?
Yes.
And he sent you down as a mod because somebody gave a mod chip. Someone, someone sent Darth down first and foremost. We haven't figured that out, okay?
That's probably true. He's probably spitting and swearing. Yeah, you're right. Perfect.
Secondly, when he was brought back up, then he blocked her, and then as a mod, and then he sent some other people down, I believe. And ultimately, when you demanded what you did, which I think is reasonable in a sense that this is your room, right? When he sent you down, that to me is not acceptable.
Well, I asked him. I asked him to leave the room, and when I asked him to leave, he removed me instead. Aren't it?
Well, there's
Okay.
Who kicked me out? Who kicked me out?
Guess who?
Just tell me. I'm pissed.
Darth.
How?
Somebody made him a mod.
Let me speed this up a little
who
bit
made him
because
a mod? Did you make him a mod there?
there's a lot of crosstalk.
Yes.
They're going to talk about who made who a mod and all.
Okay,
You
bye,
know.
guys. Bye, bye.
There you go.
Yeah, she takes off because she's pissed, rightfully
So we
so.
figured out who made him a mod, but secondly, who kicked him down?
I have no clue.
I'm pretty sure it was
Right?
John.
And so
Like they don't.
Anyway, he's gone.
maybe it was none of us three. I don't know.
Oh,
But
well,
in any case,
okay. I thought John did. I thought he
so
more or
much-
less admitted to it.
so much
This is so
drama.
weird.
It's incredible.
Love Darth.
You guys aren't going to get a lot of converts if nobody can trust what you say. From 1 minute to the next. This is just. I hope these are in-house conversations that only Christians are having, because new people I don't think should be allowed anywhere near this. Then again, I think that if new believers that are curious about the Bible should not go anywhere near a church. They should go to a college and take like an introductory course in Old Testament and New Testament history, get into that, and then get your ass to a Catholic or an Orthodox church. Get in with a good team. Protestants are sketchy.
Drama.
Who said that?
I love
You
drama.
did,
I
Darth?
said that. Yeah, it was a joke. Yeah, no, I hate it. I hate it, and I hate it.
My apologies for offending literally every religious group out there. But I do find Protestants to be, they're aggravating. All this stuff is coming from this. I don't know if somebody can point out like anything remotely close to this amongst Catholics. I would be interested in seeing it. Like, because from what I've seen, like most Catholics that are inclined to kind of discuss this kind of stuff tend to be a little bit better read on their theology and the history of the church than the Protestants are, and just generally tend to be, I think, better read about the Bible. I'd be kind of curious to see if they get into it, because most of the stuff that I see, these people are sort of these kind of like if you ask them like, oh, well, what's your faith? Christian. What's your denomination? Denomination. There's no such thing, right? If somebody tells you that there's no such thing as a Christian denomination, that person is a Protestant.
But yeah, at least I know I will be on YouTube tomorrow. That was fun. Getting thrown out of my own room. That is up there with the things I haven't had the pleasure of having happened to me.
And so what happened with Haiti? She came back. She was angry, and then she left on her own.
All right, beg the question. Save yourselves emotional health and well-being and forget the man exists, just like his God. Yeah, you might have a point there. Hard beg the question. Love your name. Do not like that scotch. I'm sorry. Come at me if you're a fan. It's smoky to the point of being diesel. It's just too much.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah. I'm trying to talk to her. She's yeah.
Unless Ardbeg, you're not named after the whiskey. I apologize. My only familiarity with that word is the brand of scotch.
I think she's a little bit angry.
Yeah, I think Dawkins was also angry, and probably some of the guys that were sent down. There was a couple of people that were sent down. I'm actually eating breakfast, or I finished, but I'm watching all of this going on, and like who sent me down? I don't know, but I can imagine who. It's not any of us three, and Haiti's not in the room, so.
Oh God,
you know. So anyway.
Yeah, I have to say.
Maybe I did cover this one because it was like the "Can we stop Tom Rabbittt?"
So I'm furious that I was just totally slandered, as if I didn't even ask to be a moderator.
Or maybe the "Can," because I'm pretty sure I brought that up in my last video because they were in one. Maybe that's just a thoroughgoing channel at this point. Yeah, I don't see anything too much in here. I don't think he comes back. Yeah, I think they're just talking amongst themselves. I think he had done one. I think that's going to be it for now until I can kind of go through and review some more. I've kind of skipped around some of these last ones because they've been a combination of different. Well, it's as usual. It's been like a couple of encounters, which are usually my favorite ones. But then there's been some of the stuff where Tom has been kind of detailing some of the drama and the gossip and the back and forth and this new community that Darth is quickly turning into something other than a community. It's kind of rotting on the vine already. But it's funny to see the camps already form and everything, and he's already got one good sycophant in Enlighten. And Enlighten may have been somebody from the Discord days. I don't know. I may have just missed him, or he's running under a different name. But his voice didn't sound too familiar. Maybe that's Parakeet. Anyone correct me? I mean, because he certainly he's a big enough toady to be Parakeet, but his voice doesn't sound quite right. I'm gonna post a link in here in case anybody wants to jump in, because I really don't have anything else to cover right now until I kind of go through here, and maybe some of the other ones they're kind of long. There's a Doodling Rebukes one that's kind of funny. I don't think there's any reason for me to actually review that one because it kind of speaks for itself. But it is funny. I recommend you watch it. It's a statement from Silverstar and then a statement from Darth Dawkins, just pinging back and forth. And the more I listen to Silverstar, I think like one of them said something. I think it was in the last video I was talking about. They said something about Silverstar is he's been a high school teacher for years, and he teaches in Japan. And I guess in Japan, because that culture, they respect their teachers almost absolutely. He's used to getting his own way. I think someone else. I don't know if Silverstar does teach in Japan. I thought that was kind of interesting. I used to live there. But that being said, it'd be kind of interesting. Like, wonder what kind of school he taught at. I mean, because he does seem like he's pretty devout, and Christianity doesn't hold up well in Japan. I'm sure that devout Christians would say, no, that's not true. If you pray enough, you can outlast it. The influence isn't really all that big a deal. If you're kind of a naive Christian, you go to a place like Japan and deal with that culture and try to get into it a little bit. The exchanges that you'll have with people over there will probably change you quite a bit. All right, I'm going to wrap up that. Just stop sharing there. I posted the link if anybody's interested. If not, I know it's kind of early in the day for a Saturday. But thank you, everybody, for showing up. Alex, have you seen the Daddy Smoke videos against us? Yes, I have watched some of those. I haven't seen him do anything too recently, but Daddy Smoke was kind of going after him on Discord, and so I think he's kind of quit. But yeah, some of those are pretty funny. My brother-in-law found religion in Japan, happened to be a sister church to my old one I left. No, that can happen. My experience in Japan was that a lot of the people that I met, their understanding of Christianity was about as deep as their understanding of the American idea of Halloween. And so they just sort of, it was kind of weird. Like, presentations of Christian imagery could be as spooky as that, some of the presentations that we would think that are kind of sinister. They don't all believe that. They just kind of take it as being something, but Christianity is just this kind of, uniquely foreign thing. But there are a decent number of Christians in there, but nowhere near what there is in South Korea. South Korea has a very large, I think mostly Baptist population. Hey, Peter, how's it going?
I've been working.
Oh.
So I missed most of it. So can you quickly repeat what this was all about?
Yeah. So you want the whole thing, just from the very beginning?
Just
okay. I don't want to point out that you have the ability to play it back at 2x speed if you.
Yeah,
I
mean.
You can't be bothered. Like, no, I came to the source to get it from you. Basically, it was Darth repeating bad talking points, and yeah.
Yeah, I'll usually when I miss something, I watch it from the start. But if I was going to watch it from the start now, I couldn't join. So
right.
Bit of a toss up. But I did see some of the things. It seems unlike on Discord, he's getting a lot more pushback from the Christians on this new platform, or
Yeah.
is that just me?
No, I mean he's kind of run into a challenging group. And JL Warren, I was on a little bit for pre-show that Crafty Keela was a guest on Truth Wanted, and before that she invited a few of us into like kind of a pre-show and was talking to us. And JL Warren was there, a few other people that I've met before, and he asked me at some point. I don't know if this was even live or if it happened after we went off air. But he's like, "What do you think is going to happen with Darth? Do you think he basically asked me, do you think his days are numbered?" I was like, I don't know. I was thinking about that myself. And I'm like, given the fact that, with politics and religion, he was on a big server, given the content. And he had almost all the power you could possibly ask for and more on that server, and got so pissed off that he just burned that bridge and left it. And now he's kind of like kicking it in Clubhouse. And I don't know if he's thinking he's going to build up an empire there, or kind of lay in the shadows. And like, it's kind of weird. I'm not sure. Like, he needs to keep talking about this, and he needs people to kind of, reaffirm what he's saying. He needs well-wishers and stuff. But I don't know if he keeps getting this kind of pushback from guys like Silverstar and stuff, and more come at him. There's not going to be much for atheists to really do. I can't see him totally giving up on it, though. Like, this is.
But here's the thing: he's hooked on power, and he's not going to get the power that he used to have on this platform, because it's a completely different setup, and people have their own rooms, and they're not going to give him mod powers, because I don't know if that was the one that you reviewed. He kicked one of the people who made the room out of his own room.
Yeah, that was the one that that was the one we were. I kind of got into that one and watched the beginning of that. Yeah, he's already abusing it. Like, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's not doing himself any favors by doing shit like that. So.
And when you see the somebody I think commented on it I think it was on that last one, the Tom Rabbittt and Tom Rabbitt's comments. It's like, yeah, I'm not seeing those view counts on his Clubhouse rooms going up, and it's been consistently in the high teens and 20s, but it's not increasing any. Like, I don't think anybody's. I think one got up into the high 20s. I think because there was some arguing going on, so I think that attracted a few people. But yeah, I don't know enough about how Clubhouse works. It's been described to me as the stage function that Discord has, but everything has been really simplified and cleaned up. It's sort of it is to Discord what Cricket is to smartphones. It's the cell phone with the big buttons and the big,
Yeah.
And it's got the one big button that says call the police or something like that. I don't know how it does, but yeah,
they should have a button like that on Clubhouse, just when Darth joins.
Call the police, SWAT him. He's got captives in his basement. It's like,
pick the bad guy, arrest him.
All we found were bowl after bowl of old Chef Boyardee and a giant bag of dirty diapers. It was the strangest thing. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to him. I don't see him giving it up. I can kind of understand, because I always forget this. He's a big Apple guy. He loves Apple products. So I think maybe that's what appeals to him about Clubhouse, is it's sort of a pared down, cleaned up kind of Discord. And he can, maybe it works great with Apple products. So he likes. I've never used it. Hey, Mickey D, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Jefferson? Hey, Peter, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks. How are you?
Still trying to wake up.
I get that.
The
voice sounds familiar, but I don't think we've ever met.
No. That trust me. I just got that voice.
I think he's saying you would remember him, Peter, if you guys had met before. Or maybe not. Maybe that's not what you're saying. Maybe you're saying like, oh no, I could.
He's a dead ringer for Veckel.
What?
He doesn't sound anything like Veckel, Peter.
What? I'm sorry. What?
Mickey's gonna cancel you now. It's like, what the hell? Like, I don't even know you. I don't deserve that.
Now look, I'm a lot of things, but that.
I'm not. So it's the sound of the voice. It's
Peter,
not
I'm
what
sorry.
you're
The damage has
saying.
been done, man. The damage has been done. You wouldn't hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry. I'll go sit on.
Man, I thought we were gonna
I'll
be
join
friends.
Otangelo on the naughty step.
I was just gonna say, I saw that you already timed him out for a few seconds. I was gonna respond to his comment again, but I guess not. I was kind of surprised and not surprised that Mickey knows who Veckel is. I was a little bit surprised at that. That's funny.
Yeah, I've heard of him a few times, and he's not the kind of person I would like to,
No one would like to be that.
Exactly.
Granted.
Yeah, he was. I just ran into him yesterday. He and Jesus is Lord and Smokey Saint were all kind of It was one of Tog's, this one guy's things yesterday. And Smokey, I think, was actively trying to get the stream flagged because he started talking about kind of an anti-vax thing. He's like, well, there's all these high school athletes dropping dead of heart attacks, and let me see what new thing recently could be causing that. And it's like, he's basically, he wouldn't say it, but he's being like, this thing that the government's forcing them to put in their bodies. And I'm like, or it could be the fact that there's a virus that's been circulating for 2 years now, and a lot of kids that got it were non-symptomatic, but it could have caused cardiovascular damage. There's also that, yeah. So of course Smokey did the mature thing, and he talked about the tiny bed that I have. I sleep on a cot and then I'm fat. So I take that as a win. Like, thank you. But yeah, no, I can't remember. Veckel and Jill were talking about something, and it seemed kind of. I can't remember what Veckel said.
Oh yeah, you've got Carlton in the side chat. Carlton, Jill is still pissed off that you asked for a female moderator. He's still emailing me about that, and how. Jill,
why would he be pissed by a female moderator?
Because he doesn't join a room when there's a female present.
Yeah, he won't talk to women, but which is weird because I was like, Carlton's not asking you to talk to a woman; he's asking a woman to moderate the debate. And then Jill's just like, Carlton knows what he's doing. It's like, well, Carlton also said if we debate, there should be a moderator, but we could just have a discussion. So, and Jill is acting like the invitation for a discussion, non-moderated, is not a thing. He's just treating it like it.
If I'm correct, the debate would have been about abortion, and that is why Carlton said if we, you guys, are going to discuss abortion, then at least we should have a female moderator. And Carlton, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was it.
Yeah, he said if we're going to have a discussion about abortion, if we're going to have a debate about abortion, I want a female moderator. If we're just going to have a discussion, then there's no need. He said if you insist on it being a debate, I insist that the moderator be a woman. Otherwise, we could have a discussion where it's a little bit more casual. And Jill is acting like Carlton did not ask for a discussion. He's acting like, no, there's only debate is the only thing on the table. And Carlton is, he's spiking the entire proposition by insisting on something he knows Jill would never agree to. Just like and in his rationalization for that, you wouldn't demand a Muslim eat pork.
Wow.
So his religious beliefs are, I can't talk to women online. I'm like, well, I would like you to point out in scriptures where it says, thou shalt not speak to a member of the opposite sex while engaged in social media and the internet. But
so I asked him, what do you do in daily life if you have to get some groceries and there's a woman at the checkout? Can you talk to that woman?
You rebuke her in the name of Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, if you can talk to a woman there, then why not on social media? What's the difference? I don't see it.
Yeah, he should be telling any women that he's running to, and who are performing jobs. He should be letting them know, you need a husband, harlot. You're going to grow old and turn into a harridan or a spinster. What you need to do is find yourself a husband who makes money for you and have his kids. That's what
he told my co-host to go get her husband.
Because in real life, you'll get smacked for that, right?
And that was
which is why he's not saying it in real life.
That was just after she left him. So she told him that's not going to happen.
Because it's easier to say that on a screen than in real life.
Yeah.
Because if it's face to face,
I still have fond memories on what Stupid Horror Energy pulled off. To me, that is one of the best things I've ever seen. People were talking about how Gavin usually is topless and then leaning back, so you get a lot of chest hair, and then
he sells
an
a lot
ugly
of sex.
face.
Yep.
Yeah. And so she went on screen exactly like he did, topless, leaning back, and Jill was in the room. You couldn't. It's so fast. He left. You couldn't time it. It was boobies.
I forgot. Yeah, as soon as he realized there was an image of a naked woman there, he's just like gone. And I know.
And I think Praise had an erection for at least 14 days because
Peter, that's too much information. I don't want to think about Praise in that capacity.
You could hear him blush. He's not on camera, but you could hear him blush.
That's adorable.
What is that? What's that percolating noise? Oh, that's the blood rushing to Peter's face, I hope, and elsewhere. Or, excuse me, Praise's face and elsewhere. No, I don't know if I don't think I was live for it. I think I had gone back. It was still live when it was on, and somebody had talked about it. So I scrubbed back through and I find it, and I'm like, okay, and there's Jill. And then when I saw it, I was like, wait, what the hell just happened? And I rewind it, and I'm like, well, good for her. That's a ballsy move right there. I noticed like Jill is there, and then the instant, like you can see, like, oh yeah, she's just lying in bed with no shirt on, and her laptop in front of her, and like, click, he's gone. Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, I guess we found there's something worse than talking to other women online. Jill's not supposed to be looking at him.
And that's the difference. People know me, so I'm just looking at Discord, and someone messaged me, and that was a link with a timestamp. I think you want to watch this. And so I replied, I did want to watch that.
I'm going to attempt to read this.
That was brilliant.
I'm going to attempt to read this out loud because Dr. Josh's trolling is the only trolling that I read out loud, except for maybe Slim Jim's, which, by the way, welcome Slim Jim, welcome AR. It says, Jefferson Spatchcock, if we consider Wittgenstein's Blue Book, we quickly notice that expectations of mind and matter displace identity, A equals AB, as with particular language antecedents of object concept. Okay, Dr. Josh, at this point, like, I'm wondering, do you have like an AI that's writing these for you? Because these are confounding. Good, but confounding.
I think he's using Smoky Saint's thesaurus.
It's a Markov sentence generator.
Yeah, something like that.
I think I know how he comes up with these because he's practicing his Kent Hovind impersonations, and I think that is what triggers this. The vast knowledge of Kent Hovind is probably.
But Kent Hovind tends to be a little bit more like the way he talks is a little bit more terse and kind of down to earth. He doesn't. I don't know that he goes in for like the jargon. But speaking of which, the jargon of that does remind me, and I'll put this out to the 61 people that are watching now. Philip Cornelius Amon, who has had about as many sock accounts on YouTube as there are letters in his original name. I think his current one is Biblical Christological Account for the Win. He reached out to me 3 weeks ago, and I wasn't sure he was talking to me in the comment section. So when I asked for clarification, he ignored it. And now almost a month has gone by, and he responded to that comment and was like, "Would you like to?" It's the strangest comment. It's so weird, but he wants to have a discussion / debate with me, and I'm wondering if I should again. He was the guy I had a discussion with him on MathPig's channel. And I think I shared it again. I think it's like my oldest video on my channel now, because he popped up again. It wasn't Biblical Christological Account. It was like Biblical Precept for the Win or something like that. It was one of his other named accounts. He showed up. He paid money to talk with T-Jump. T-Jump's Discord channel, and that video kind of went around, and I was on Answers in Atheism. Speed of Sound was like, "Is this the same guy?" And I'm like, at first I didn't think it was, but yeah, it's him.
He
Oh, and
paid money to talk to T-Jump.
What's up?
He paid money to talk to T-Jump.
He did. I think the cost of admission for some of these things is like $5. So he paid $5 to get into a queue, basically to interrogate T-Jump. And I don't know if I like disagree with it or if I think it's brilliant. I think it's basically like T-Jump set it up like, okay, if you're a Christian and you want to like grill me with your questions, you can, but you got to pay me $5 to interrogate me.
Yeah, but like
people do.
Hey, hustle's got to hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
You could print out a picture of T-Jump, tape it to your wall, talk to that, and have about as productive a conversation.
On some subjects, yes, I agree that might happen. But yeah, this one, he was just, I mean, I disagree with T-Jump on some things, but with this one, he was a little confused with this guy. And when I talked to him, and it's kind of interesting to watch. I don't know if anybody would be interested in hearing from him, because it sounds like there might be something like, I think the wheels are coming off the wagon, so to speak. If you go and watch the discussion that I had with him, it was almost a year ago. I think it was on mine. MathPig and I think we hosted it on mine. I've got it on my channel. And you listen to him talk to me then. I kind of beat him up for about 20 minutes straight because he argued himself into a corner and basically couldn't account for evil in his little worldview thing. And I beat him up over that until he got frustrated and wanted me to leave him alone. Then I didn't hear from him anymore. He still did videos and stuff, but then when I saw him resurface in some of these other places, the T-Jump one, he's picked up some new tricks that are even crazier than the way he sounded before. So it's been interesting to see him evolve into, like, the words he chooses, just the text that he sent to me was just odd. Uh-oh, I think he might be here now. FTW. Hello, FTW.
A God of the Bible presents life in complicated precepts in three-dimensional response to the dimensional cosmic skepticism. What's your response?
So I gotta applaud you for going for the Australian accent. You did sound a little bit like one of the Beatles, but it was pretty good. So then he just disappears.
Yeah.
Oh, you.
Since we're addressing things, I'd like to address a question from the chat. Otangelo asked, "What mechanism replaces God?" In this side chat, Otangelo, it's me and secular pagan mom.
Of course you'd say that.
Brother.
You guys ever been to that website, neuralblender.net?
Never heard of it.
It's one of the greatest examples of AI learning ever. So you type a phrase into Neural Blender, and it trawls the web for images related to whatever words you've typed into the sentence. And it can be something as simple as Martha Stewart, or as complicated as beefy cheese curds grating broken rocks. And then it searches for every image related to the search or the phrase you've just typed in, and then blends them all together into a single image. And what this dude just said was the audio version of that.
That was Dr. Josh.
Well, good job, Dr. Josh.
that was yeah. He had a run-in with him. I can't remember where it was. I'll have to talk. I haven't talked to Dr. Josh in quite a while, other than comments and stuff. But maybe it was on Skylar's channel. But I think they talked to him back in the day, and But the "what's your response" thing, that's how you know it's him. I don't think he did that when I talked to him, but that's his catchphrase now. He'll ask a question and demand, "What's your response?" And he'll do it like every time you like he'll ask you what time it is. What's your response?
I always feel bad for Dr. Josh because I know it's just kind of, I've got resting angry face, but my boy always looks tired. He always looks so tired.
He does sometimes, but he does. But he does have the energy to come in here and troll me, so I know he's doing fine, and troll my brother.
If he ever gets the energy to put that on a separate channel, we're doomed.
Yeah, it'd be funny if Tom Rabbittt releases a video, I comment on it, Digital Hammurabi comments on my commentary by making fun of me and demanding that I present a grounding for my meta ontologies or whatever.
But
he gets to spend more time.
I'm not trying to set Dr. Josh up, but it would be funny if he was going to do debates in the voices that he can do.
I know his Kent Hovind is pretty spot on. It's damn close.
Or at least maybe do like a parody of it for his channel, just for the laughs.
He should call Kent Hovind as Kent Hovind and ask him what he's doing there and why he's not allowed in his own compound.
The funny thing is, have you guys ever seen? John C. Reilly. He did a show on Adult Swim called. The character that he played was Dr. Brule, Dr. Steve Brule.
Yeah.
There's something, even though Dr. Josh's imitation of Kent Hovind is I would say it's about 98%, 99% spot on in terms of tone and every cadence, everything. It's right there. When he talks like that, it makes you realize that Kent Hovind seems like a character created for a show like that and not a real person. So I think it's funny when Josh does that, but I also get a little sad for Kent Hovind. I kind of pity him. Like, he's more like a Muppet than a person.
Is it kind of like every conversation you ever have with Smokey saying is like you're on a weird episode of the Tim and Eric Awesome Show meets Trailer Park Boys?
Kind of. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good observation. Yeah, he got a little, I think, well, I'm not going to talk about that here, but that's just insider knowledge, folks. That's for atheists to talk about amongst themselves, along with Slim Jim, who was.
Oh, well, I mean, maybe I should leave lest I be accused of being chummy with the absolute abominable, abhorrent, worst of the worst atheists.
You're a trash clown by association, Jim.
I am. I'm also an atheist by association. You know what's funny? Because like Darth, Dawkins, and Smokey both have like the exact same thing to say about me, and they both hate each other.
I know, it's fascinating. The one thing they can agree about is their disdain for Catholics in general and you specifically. So you should be proud.
It's really weird because like if you ever listen to them, like one of my favorite Tom Rabbittt videos is when Darth talks to Smokey.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I've watched that, but the video is absolutely amazing.
I think I watched it twice before I did a review with it, and I kind of caught myself listening to it again after I did a whole video dedicated to it. Like even doing a commentary on it, I wasn't tired of it. I went back to it. I was just like, Jesus, this is just a mess. It was the dumpster fire to beat all dumpster fires for. Well, I don't think anything's really taken its place, at least for me.
To be fair, when it comes to Smokey, I don't think there's a video that beats Otangelo's reading Smokey's email. I think
yeah.
I don't agree a lot with Smokey, but when it comes to Otangelo, I think he nailed it.
That was so weird. Like, yeah, that was a rough listen too. All right, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I've been on for more than 90 minutes, so I don't want to turn this one into like a 3-hour one. But be happy to chat with anybody off air for a little bit if you got the time. So, thanks everybody in the live chat. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking. Thank you for disliking. Flag me if necessary if you need to get me canceled.
Secular pagan mom. Thank you for swatting.
Yeah, thank you for swatting. Tangelo, thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate. And here's the thing. I should probably, like, if I had any real integrity, but I'm an atheist, I don't. If I had any real integrity, I would discourage Secular Pagan Mom and Peter from swatting Otangelo. But Otangelo has admitted that he has scads of sock accounts, and I want to encourage him to bring in all of those sock accounts simultaneously, for the views, because I'm just petty like that. Yeah. So carry on. Everything's working out the way it is. Steady as she goes. So thanks, everybody. Thanks to my panel that jumped in last minute. Yeah, we're gonna take off. Everybody have a great weekend. I probably will not get a video done before probably during next week. I'm going to be busy. There's going to be a lot of cooking going on, visiting relatives. Thanksgiving's upon us, so I will probably be coming back with a video week after next. So to everybody, if Thanksgiving is your thing, have a good one. If it's not, have a good whatever. And take care.
Go blue.
Whose dog is that?
What the hell?
I have no idea whose dog that is.
And on that note, folks, see you
I
later.
think